Should I hire a mixing engineer? Yes, you probably should. There's so many advantages to hiring a mixing engineer. Like, your music will sound better. You get a fresh pair of ears. So there's some perspective there. You might have things sounding how you want them, but not really notice that the vocals are too quiet, or there's a lot of mud in certain areas where things are clashing. And a mixing engineer with a fresh perspective can really, really elevate a song and take it to the next level. It also depends what your aim is for your music, right? Like, if you're a hobbyist and you're okay at mixing and you're just doing it for fun and you don't want to incur loads of costs, then maybe you shouldn't hire a mixing engineer. But if you want your songs to be played on radio, get playlisted, stand up against other people's music who are hiring mixing engineers, then you probably need to hire a mixing engineer, right? The tricky thing is finding the right mixing engineer, because there's so many, and some are really, really, really good and will really understand what you're going for and what you want to achieve. And some are really, 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 really good, but won't understand what you're going for and don't understand what you want to achieve. Also, it can be about finding the right fit with people. You're not going to glue with everyone. So have a look at what your peers are doing. Have a look at who you want to have your music on the same playlist as, or played on the radio with. If they are using songwriters to co-write with, mixing engineers, producers, mastering engineers, the chances are you need to do that too. If you love listening to pop on the radio, that's all co-written by several people. Very, very rarely, even when it's credited as one person, is it actually one person. And even then, the producer will have a hand in that. And then that usually gets sent on to a mixing engineer. And then after that, it gets sent to a mastering engineer. And then there's all the people who you don't really hear about having a creative input, such as the manager, the record label exec. All of those people have some input into song choice, or can have some input into song choice and how the song sounds overall, who gets chosen to mix, who gets chosen to produce. Not all of the power is with the artist all of the time. So if you're listening to that music, you definitely need to hire a mixing engineer, and you definitely need to find a producer and all of that sort of stuff. If you're listening to lots of alternative music or like punk or anything like that, most of that is kind of shared. The bands will hire a producer, but they are also the producer, because they make a choice on sounds and parts and arrangement, and they're doing the writing, and they're really, really a key part of that in the studio. They also provide the mixing notes, and they also choose the mixing engineer and the mastering engineer. So they really, really are co-producers in their own records, even though they do hire mixing engineer, recording engineer, producer kind of person. So yeah, you probably need to hire a mixing engineer. You probably need to hire a producer, but there's lots of different ways that you can do that. Sometimes all you need is a finishing producer. So you've done everything in your DAW, you've got it sounding really, really good, you're happy with it, but there's something niggling at you. So you can either send your session or export the stems so it sounds really, really close to finished, and then that person can just spend a couple of hours working on it and then master it for you. That's a really, really good way of being able to put out more music, keep the costs down, but also have your stuff compete.